The old sticks and stones can break my bones saying has been used as a defence against schoolyard bullies for generations. But a nationwide study of more than 7,000 students has found traditional forms of bullying, such as hitting and teasing, are declining. As Jessica Kidd reports, instead bullies are using gossip, rumours and cyberbullying to inflict pain on their victims.
Mobile phones and the internet mean bullies can reach their prey well beyond the gates of the schoolyard.
Anybody can be a victim of bullying, and it's not something that is to do with the characteristics of the individual who becomes a victim.
And parents are at a loss for a solution.
I can remember sitting in the principal's office absolutely in tears, absolutely at breaking point, because I just didn't know what to do.
In Australia, about 1 in 4 children say they're bullied every few weeks, and disturbingly, 1 in 10 students has admitted to being a bully. A recent national bullying study found while face-to-face or overt bullying is declining, less direct forms of bullying are taking hold in schools.
The covert bullying is more along the lines of the death stares and the rumours and the sort of outing behaviour, putting public information out about students to shame or humiliate them.
Former Parents and Friends Association President Jenny Branch has witnessed the effects this type of bullying can have. Her eldest son, who doesn't want to be identified, was subjected to a torrent of abusive text messages while he attended high school in Hobart's northern suburbs.
Well, it was traumatic for him, and it was traumatic for our whole family. The text messages coming through on the phone, the bipping, and for me as a mother watching him get very tense because he was going to look what it said. And I could see in front of myself my child changing and withdrawing and becoming a different person very quickly.
Unseen bullying in the form of text messages, rumours and gossip is often more emotionally damaging than fistfights. The 24-hour nature of modern technology means children can be bullied around the clock. And when that abuse happens over the internet, there's a potential audience of thousands adding to the humiliation.
It just gives an excellent tool to bullies who are wanting to use that kind of method because it can be anonymous. But it's also, I guess, very distant in that you don't get to see the reaction of the victim, so you can't judge the impact, and therefore it can be more severe on the person that's receiving messages and things.
With much of it hidden, schools are struggling to deal with the effects of modern-day bullying. In Tasmania, it's up to individual schools to develop their own anti-bullying policy.
Policy developed locally is much more effective than policy developed centrally that's then enacted locally.
But many parents would argue that this approach isn't working.
I went to the school and I talked to the school, but at a high school level, it's hard to get a lot of support. The school was good, but I think they found it as challenging as I did.
For the victim, bullying can affect every aspect of their life.
He became depressed. He was really questioning whether his life was valued and whether he should be around. And I think that's when myself as a parent started to really break down and become very scared of what the future might hold for him.
The effects of bullying are often intensified by the shortage of school psychologists Tasmanian students can turn to.
For the members in schools that talk to me, they're very, very stretched. In some schools and in some cases they're responding only to real crisis sort of events. The sort of ongoing and preventative work doesn't get as much time put into it.
Mr. Stopp says school psychologists are often forced to refer students to private psychologists because they're too stretched to meet demand. The Liberal opposition says more should be done so bullying victims get the help they need.
In Tasmania today we have around about 1 school psychologist to 1,000, and the recommended percent or ratios from the professional association is 1 in 500. So by those standards, we only really have about half the ratio that's required. So we've got a major issue here.
This year, the Tasmanian government made bullying an election issue, with the Labor Party promising a $6 million anti-bullying package if they were re-elected. Included was $4 million to employ 12 additional school psychologists. But Mr Ferguson says to date, only 2 positions have been filled.
It's my understanding that one of those 2 positions, out of 12, remember, one of those is a person that's been given responsibility for autism, and that's great, but we're still way short of the need for professional school psychologists in our schools and high schools.
Mr Ferguson says he's often contacted by worried parents and says he's shocked by some of the stories he's heard.
This child was standing in line outside a classroom and was picked up by another student, a repeat offender, and was thrown on the other side of that hallway. The child unfortunately landed on a door handle, broke 2 ribs, and when the child fell on the floor, was then set upon by this same student and kicked repeatedly, and was in such a bad state that he had to be taken to hospital. His child had 2 broken ribs, a lacerated liver, and it was up to the mother to talk to the police about it.
The Education Minister, Lynn Thorpe, declined to be interviewed, but the Education Department says the recruitment process for psychologists is on track and more positions will be advertised next year.
I believe that those appointments have been made recently, and that I think it's 8 positions will be advertised early next year.
But are there enough support staff in schools to address kids with problems?
I think that we could always have more and more and more. It is the case, isn't it, that there is never enough. However, I'm fully satisfied with the quality of our professionals in the department. I think that they do an outstanding job.
Until more school psychologists come on board, bullying victims like Jenny Branch's son will have to seek outside help.
When you're in such an emotional state, you really need professional people to help you, which aren't available within the school system. There are support teachers and specialist teachers working in schools, but there are so many students to deal with, and there might be half a person a week to deal with, say, 300 high school students, and it's a push and pull situation, and at this stage our child needed constant support.